We're on page 106. Parashat Chayei. So normally we do Kuzarim, but being that we left off in the summer at the end of the first essay of the Kuzarim, I'm waiting until the class becomes a little more regular to jump back into the second essay, and it's been my fault, I've been out of town in and out. So hopefully now when things settle down, we'll switch back from Parashat to Kuzarim, but I will let you know when we start that. But right now we'll be doing Parashat Shavua, which works. Tonight, lo Kuzari Erev. But it works because these parashiyot are generally the ones that are filled with the most content. And it's the shortest Shabbatot of the year. And we have the Shabbat afternoon, we don't even have time to have a class on the parasha. So it works out well to study a little bit of the parasha tonight. There's an approach in the studying of the parasha. And this approach is used by many darshanim today, many speakers today. You ask a person, you went to study in a class, what did you study? They don't know what they studied. Then they start mumbling, jumbling, we studied Torah. Very good, but what kind of Torah did you study? They don't know what to tell you. The reason they don't know what to tell you is because they didn't really study Torah. They pretended to study Torah. That's how most Torah classes look. There's a pretending to study Torah. When you study Torah, and the whole class is about, well, let's take one Hebrew letter. And the numerical value of that Hebrew letter is the same numerical value as the word for Mashiach if you put it in front of a mirror and you flip it upside down. And isn't that incredible how that same name for Mashiach is used somewhere in the book of Yeshayahu, that if you turn all the letters into the fifth letter of the Hebrew alphabet, that's how people study Torah today. And it's very exciting, but there's no Torah inside of that. There's nothing there. It's an empty, what do I say? Borot nishbarim, broken wells. They don't even have water inside of them. People, a lot of times, they prefer to study Torah. It's entertaining, it's entertainment, but there's no actual content inside of the Torah. And so we warn ourselves that there's that kind of Torah. There's another kind of Torah that people like, that nonsense. And just you hear it and you say, wow, how could so this week somebody sent me a text message that to get together, what a few Hasidim could accomplish by getting together is greater than what the angel Michael could accomplish. What does it even mean? When people say it, what does that mean? Why not the angel Gabriel? Why the angel Michael? Who decided this angel? What's so special about 10 Hasidim that get together? What happened? People, they tell you things, in the words of Rabbi Yosef Masas, that sometimes people who speak from their mouth, everything that came from their mouth, it's like it came from behind them. This is some people, you hear their Torah, they know, what are you talking about? Why are you saying the things that you're saying? Unbelievable, the things you hear. I come from a very different Beit Midrash. The Beit Midrash that we come from is the Beit Midrash of Rav Peretz. Rav Peretz should live and be well. If you said the wrong thing in class, you can ask you, please don't say that in my class. What do you mean the wrong thing? It's the things you learned everywhere else. בואו תקרבו בשולחן, ככה הספר יישב לכם יפה.
אני לא מבינה מה שאתה אומר בכלל.
זה טוב, אז התחלה.
לא, אני לא מבינה מה ש... אוקיי.
ללמוד אצלנו זה אורח חיים, זה לא רק שיעור hit and run.
I don't even know. Anyways,
We'll get there.
we'll get there. Where did you start from? So...
The Beit Midrash of Rav Peretz is one of Pshat. You read the Chumash, you have to understand what is actually happening inside of the Chumash. You want to read the Chumash, you can't read everything except for what it says in the Chumash. You have to read what it says inside of the Chumash. Most people don't study Pshat. The reason they don't study Pshat, to them it looks boring. What do you mean? I could also read and translate. But it's not just reading and translating. It's understanding why it says what it says. Why the words are used the way they're used. What happened inside of this parasha that made me... This is the Torah of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So even the simple things are simply Hashem. So without any more hakdamot and introductions, let's start something. I'm actually going to start in the middle of the parasha, not at the beginning of the parasha. The reason? Because I've been dealing with this issue for the last week with a lot of intensity. Maybe I'll start you off somewhere else.
That was bad.
We're not even going to start with the parasha.
Can you close the door?
Yeah, sure. On page 1046. 1046. כי תצא למלחמה על אויביך. When you will go out to war against your enemies. Now, I'll tell you, this parasha, I have a whole class about it because it's a very difficult parasha. You find some lady that she's very beautiful, you take her to your house, you shave her head, you cut her nails. It's a very complicated parasha. I have a class on this for sure, it's already on YouTube about this parasha. I don't want to talk about that now. Untano Adonai Elohecha biyadecha, and Hashem delivers the enemies into your hands. Vishavita shivyo, and you will capture his captivity. Shavita shevi is redundant. What if you capture somebody? Now they become shevi. Now they become a captive. Why vishavita shivyo? It's a double word over here. And then it goes on to say, "V'reita b'shivya," and you see in that captivity, eshet yifat Torah, a beautiful woman. V'chashakta ba, and you wanted her. V'lakachta l'cha l'isha, and you took her. L'kachta, you took her for you as your wife. You bring her to your house. Da-da-da. Okay, this is the rest of the parasha.
It says you may take her, so it's a little different in English here.
Let's see again. Correct. According to the commentary, it's not a command. If it would say v'lakachta, that you took her, that would be a mitzvah. You have to take her. So what it's reading here is the teachings of our rabbis that it's not a mitzvah to take her, but if you would like to, you can. You're right. The translation is a commentary though. In the actual Hebrew, the deliberate Hebrew is literal Hebrew. English. Literal Hebrew is that you will take her.
Okay.
Rashi brings down the famous. If you look here in Rashi, in the right column, 4 lines down. ולקחת לך לאישה לא דיברה תורה אלא כנגד יצר הרע. The Torah was speaking about your yetzer hara. Now, what he wants to tell you is, if the Torah will not let you take her, you're going to take her anyways. So the Torah might as well let you take her in a way that's allowed. Now, I gave a class on this. The Rambam completely disagrees. How? Just because a person wants a woman, he can take her. There's something wrong here. And I gave that class on Parashat Chayei. Here is something else. I want to go with you to the world of. I know I just told you all about Pshat, but in the world of Sod a little bit of Kabbalah. Your yetzer hara is the one you're going to war against. Read it again. Ki tetzeh lemilchama al oivecha. When you go out to war against your enemy. The yetzer hara, remember we gave a class, when was it? On Sukkot. And Yaakov, yetzer hara has 7 names. He's an enemy.
Right.
An enemy. Nika soneh, nika oyev, Untano Adonai Elohecha biyadecha v'shavita shivyo. Then Hashem will deliver him into your hands and you will take his captives. Rabbi Yaakov Abuchatzera, the Rabbi Yaakov, I just heard this on Monday night when I was sitting waiting for the Bedin to happen. So a few of us rabbis were talking. And we shared these words. Rabbi Yaakov Abuchatzera writes, when you go out to war against your yetzer hara, and Hashem lets you win your yetzer hara, v'shavita shivyo, inside of every bad thing, there's also something good. Your yetzer hara has inside of it also something good. In this case, the Rabbi Yaakov writes that inside of this woman is a Jewish neshama. She is a captive, not of yours, but of theirs. Vishavita shivyo, she's a captive of the captives. So you win the war, and now you take a person. You think that really she's your captive. It's not true. Really, she's their captive. A neshama came into the world that was Jewish. And there's a way to bring her back. And that is by bringing her over back to Am Yisrael. You can have a Jewish neshama, a Jewish soul, inside of a non-Jewish body. You can have the other way around also. Don't be scared. Be scared. You can have, sometimes you see a person, how could it be? Their neshama inside of them is not a pure neshama, it's not a good neshama. By the way, there are Jewish neshamot that are bad, and non-Jewish neshamot that are beautiful. And that's the way Hashem's complexity of a world works. If you look in the Zohar says that when a husband and a wife are together, they decide for the child what kind of child is going to come out of them. We believe in a lot of power, both of the father and the mother, when they're having a child. It's not that they physically had a child, that's how Hashem delivers and FedEx a neshama to the body. But you create that neshama with HaKadosh Baruch Hu while the husband and wife are being together. It's for this reason there are tremendous works of Kabbalah into what a husband and wife should be thinking when they're with each other. Whereas other religions will tell you, it's an avera, it's not a good thing, it's an animalistic inclination. Judaism will tell you, lefech, to the contrary. It's a very holy thing if you make it holy. You can also make it not holy, like many people in the world choose to do. But you could have a neshama that you really worked on, and that's who comes out. So the Zohar says, you can have two people who are not Jewish, but they were thinking the right things when they had a child. And that child comes out, says the Zohar, with a pure neshama, the neshama tehora. And you can have two Jewish people that were thinking bad things when they had a child. And that child can come out, yes, in a body of a Jew, but without the soul of a Jew, with a neshama tameh. And why was this relevant? Because we were sitting on a bedin for conversion. And the Mekubalim suggest that every soul that comes through a conversion process back to Judaism is not a soul that was never Jewish, but it was a soul of a Jew, meaning it's a Jewish soul, that was simply lost among the other nations of the world. And according to the Kabbalah, there's some idea of bringing about the redemption by collecting all these sparks. In fact, when I talk about conversion, I don't talk about it from a Kabbalistic perspective. But it's ironic to me that people who are so into Kabbalah can sometimes be so against conversion. Because it's the Kabbalah itself which teaches that we will never leave the exile until we gather all of the neshamot that we have to gather inside of our exile. Once they come back, then we can go back. And so essentially, every time a rabbi says, no, I won't take you into conversion for a bedin, it could be that he's pushing away the Geulah one step further. He's pushing away the redemption one step further. Sometimes you have to turn the table on people's faces. You have to tell them what you think is so holy, and really what you're doing is a bigger disaster. So how did I get there? Because at this point in time, back on page 106, are there Jews yet? Avraham Avinu's generation, are there Jews? No, not yet. What are there?
Righteous people.
Number 5. You can say it up front.
Jews came with Gilgal, right?
At Sinai.
That's a good question. When do the Jews really happen?
Yeah.
Am Yisrael, as it's called, that happens at Har Sinai, right? We don't become a nation, really. I mean, we leave Egypt. Asher bachar banu michol hamim. Hashem chooses us from all the nations. V'natan lanu torato. That was the first class of Kuzari we gave. Are the Jewish people a nation or not? Yehudim, this title Yehudim, we only get it later in our history. When the Jewish people are pretty much left with the tribe of Yehuda and a little bit of Binyamin, so the majority of Jews are known after everyone else. And so even though I'm, for example, I'm not a Yehudi, my tribe is not from the tribe of Yehuda, I'm for sure from the tribe of Levi. So why do they call me a Yehudi? Because we got that title. You also find, for example, in Megillat Esther, you find that there are people who become Jewish, but for the wrong reasons.
But they said Mordechai
Yeah.
is Yehudi, but he was from Binyamin.
Oh, very good. Very well. Some say, by the way, that there was a complicated lineage over there. Could be the Fiat Pshat was also Ish
What
Yehudi.
was it? The
Mordechai, it says, Mordechai Ish Yehudi. It's in the first, in the beginning of Megillat Esther. Look here. Mordechai Yehudi, Asher Shem Shar HaMelech. This one on page 1253. Ish Yehudi haya b'Shushan Habira. There was a Jewish man in Shushan Habira. Really, Yehudi should mean from the tribe of Yehuda. Ushmo Mordechai, his name is Mordechai, ben Yair, the son of Yair, ben Shimi, ben Kish, Ish Yemini, from the tribe of Binyamin. So why are they calling him here Yehuda? When really he should be from the tribe of Binyamin. So you see already here that Jews are being called Jews, even though they're not actually from the tribe of Judah. You see this again later, if you look in the same Megillah. On page the Jews start to wipe out their enemies.
ליהודים הייתה אורה ושמחה ורצון
No,
לבטח.
no, Shalom. Here. It's before the 10 sons of Haman. ורבים עמי הארץ מתייהדים. If you find the pasuk, I don't normally use the Chumash because I'm reading from the Megillah.
Page 1259 towards the end.
So the 9 towards the end. Which pasuk?
6.
Oh, here, very good. Yes. Page 1259, verse 17.
Okay.
ובכל מידה ובמדינה ובכל עיר ועיר, in every country and every city, מקום שדבר המלך ודתו מגיע, in every place where the king's word reaches, שמחה וששון ליהודים, there's joy for the Jews, משתה ויום טוב, rejoicing in a holiday, ורבים מעמי הארץ, and many of the non-Jews around, מתייהדים. It doesn't even mean to convert, it means they just become Jewish. Why? כי נפל פחד היהודים עליהם. Because they started getting scared from the Jews. The Jews are running around with a king's letter, wiping out all Haman's friends. They don't want to get in, so they jump in. Here you already find the tribe of Yehuda is used to refer to Jews. Correct? So back on page 106. At this point in our history, are there Jews yet? Not the way we know it. Avraham is referred to as Avraham HaYehudi? No, rather? Avraham HaIvri. What is an Ivri? Right, other side is that's a Drash. That's what I said. A Hebrew. What do you mean Hebrew? He's from the descendant of Evel. Who is Evel? There's a Shiva of Shem and Evel. There's a whole lineage, the whole nation of the Ivrim, who are essentially the pre-nation of Am Yisrael. Everything that happens to the Ivrim happens later in history to the Yehudi.
That's why they said, I read somewhere that Abraham actually went back to a place where his ancestor used to be.
Used to be, correct. The Kuzari mentions, the commentators of the Kuzari mentioned this. They were the Mesugalim Shebechavua. They were the ones who had the closest connection to Hashem. Before Hashem chooses Avraham from all the Ivrim, and then once we have Yaakov, and Yaakov's name changes to Israel, the Jews from there on are referred to as Bnei Israel. And that's how they refer to us, the whole desert, the whole story. So there are no Jews here. So Avraham Avinu has to have his son married. Whose son is he looking for? Shidduch? Not for Ishmael. He doesn't really. That's not who he's looking for. He's looking for Yitzchak, for Isaac. He's looking for a spouse. And so he has a slave, a servant. His name is Eliezer on page 110. It says, go to my family and find a wife. Find Isha livni Yitzchak, for my son, for Yitzchak. This is like the first shidduch that ever happens. Except there's like kissing and things like that happen. That's not exactly how it works today. But this is the first time that we're sending somebody to go bring back a bride. And he's very worried. He's worried that his son is going to want to go back where his wife's family is. More often than not, that's what happens. Every mother of sons will tell you that what it says in the Torah, that a man will leave his father and mother, and he'll cling to his wife, and they become one flesh. Then maybe sometimes, this is one of the curses of the book of Bereshit, sometimes people get married and they forget about their parents. They have a new family now. They have a new mother now. They have a new father now. They have a wife who controls everything for them. I hear this all the time. More often than not, it happens that the girl follows her family. Not a rule, but there's always exceptions to every rule. But more often than not, that's how it happens. The Ben Ish Chai says a better investment for parents would be to have daughters. I'm from 5 brothers, so I can't talk much. But the Ben Ish Chai says that it's a better investment. Daughters care about you. Your sons, they'll visit you in the old age home. He's afraid. Don't let my son go back there. What will happen if my son goes back there? What is he worried about? Yitzchak Avinu, what, he's going to become a not believer in Hashem? What's going to happen then? There's a famous letter. And by the way, if I don't teach you anything about the Parashat except what we're talking about right now, that would be enough. A famous letter the Rambam is asked about a guy who fell in love, with whatever reason, with a non-Jewish lady in Egypt. Could be she was his cleaning lady. Could be they just worked together. The story is a little vague. And he's living with her, and he's not leaving her. Oh, the Jewish community is going to throw him out if he's married to somebody not Jewish. He doesn't care. Throw him out. The Bedin says, "What should we do with this lady?" The Rambam says, "Convert her to Judaism." She doesn't know anything. There's no conversion classes in downtown Cairo. Like, what's going on? What happens? Says the Rambam, Mutav shochal rotev. It's better he should eat from the sauce of the not kosher meat than he should actually eat the not kosher meat. I mean, even though it's a half-baked conversion, it's better that than his current situation. Why, says the Rambam, why should he even bother with her? Shelo yilech hachevel achar adli, says the Rambam. That the rope shouldn't follow the barrel, the bucket. You know, in the well, there's a rope and there's a bucket.
They throw it down the well.
The bucket follows the rope, or the rope follows the bucket?
The rope follows the bucket.
Very good. Says the Rambam, your wife is the bucket. Wherever she goes, that's where the husband's going to go. And if we don't take her, she'll take him. And that's the reality of today.
So he was scared because maybe because their wife, he will be.
But here we really learn a halakha. 1 million Jews will get married in the next 10 years. Out of those 1 million Jews that are going to get married, 500,000 about will marry somebody not Jewish. That's 500,000 people.
I think it's in America it's more. It's a
Could
higher
be really
percentage.
more. Wonderful. Out of those 500,000, the amount of them that will raise their child somewhat Jewish is 28% of those 500,000. It's not even half. So do the math that about 70% of those 500,000, their kids are going to be raised like their mother. And we think sometimes we're being so holy by not letting people in. And you're right, in an ideal level we wouldn't. But we don't live in an ideal situation anymore. We're in a less than ideal situation.
So that's why they say they're Jewish come from the mother, not from the dad.
Well, that's a good question, why that happens that way. But from here you see that there's something to be worried about. So we're sitting here getting ready for a big deal. Anyway, there's a teaching of Av Peretz. What does Avraham Avinu say? How are you going to find for me a daughter? You can't check if she's Jewish. There's no such thing. So what do you need to look for in her? It's a weird test he gives her. What's the test?
Compassion.
Compassion. How do you show compassion?
Caring.
To be kind.
Well, he's going to come. He says, Eliezer, you're going to show up with your camels. What's going to happen?
Somebody
He's
will
gonna
drink.
offer
You will
him.
offer drink.
Offer him a drink.
A drink.
Offer him.
Camel. Yeah, where's
And for your camels.
And for it.
Uh-huh.
And this is how you're going to know? It's like a weird thing to tell somebody. I had in my life a similar story. My wife and I, at the beginning of our relationship, our parents weren't exactly on board that we should get married. In fact, the first time my wife met my father, he was like, I'm not interested in talking to you. You're my dad. He's a very nice guy. But he was like, if it's not for real, so I'm not wasting my time. So it was New York, it was Manhattan, it was the middle of the winter, it was freezing cold. And I said, we have to lighten up the mood a little bit. Because we went for dinner and nobody would talk to anybody. So I said, okay, got it. And I put on my phone, there's a national improv comedy theater. And these guys are good. They have a rule that any inappropriate jokes you make, you have to wear a bag on your head for the rest of the show. So nothing inappropriate happens, for the most part. So we went over there. And then, there was a big fight and things like that. Wonderful experiences. And my wife was with me for Shabbat at my brother's house. She had this huge bag, you know those, like in the Israeli army, they have these backpacks like a kid bag, this big. She had one of those. And my dad kept saying, only take her bag from her. He wasn't talking to her, but he was talking to me, take her bag from her. I said, can I take her bag? No, I can hold my own bag. No, I can hold my own bag. After that evening, so my father says, I'm not going to tell you what I feel. But one thing I can tell you, she's a good girl to marry. And then why? Because she carries her own bag. She's the kind of person that doesn't ask you to carry her bag for her. And the truth is, Avraham Avinu has some kind of message. He doesn't have, you can't check a license to check if she's Jewish, but look for this character trait. And if she has this, then probably everything else is going to work out. And so he comes, and look what happens on page 112. וירוץ העבד לקראתה, he runs towards her, verse 17. ויאמר הגמיעיני נא מעט מים מקדך, give me some of the water from your pitcher so I can drink. He's not asking for the camels. ותאמר, she says, שתה אדוני, drink my master. ותמהר, and she hurried, ותורד כדה על ידה, ותשקהו, and she lowers her pitcher into her hand and she gives him to drink. She says drink. Let's say I want to give Aaron a drink, because he always gives me a drink. So I say, here, Aaron, drink, right? Because there's juice in the cup. But imagine if I did this. Aaron, drink. Can you pass me the juice, please? It's a very weird thing to do. You don't tell someone to drink when there's nothing to drink. First you bring something to drink, and then you say drink. According to the Pshat, what's happening here? Why is she offering to drink before she has anything to drink?
So that way he
No,
can
it was full. It says, "V'temale kada v'tal." So she had, but she goes back and filling it again.
If she had her jug-
already.
Why is there a
because she had
break
her jug
between
on her
drink
shoulder.
No, because
and vatashkehu? What happens over there? She's not ready to give him to drink. She's getting ready. Pshat, any person who rushes to do something, they're already talking about it before they're ready for something. Come, let's get something to eat. I'll get something from the kitchen. You don't say that when you invite your friends to dinner for Thanksgiving 6 months in advance. Because there, everything should be ready. When you have a surprise guest, you say, come, sit to eat, and I'll go figure out what I have in the house. It's a person, it's zrizut, it's an alacrity. I'm trying to check out what I have because I know that I want to give them something. I just don't know what I have yet. This happens a lot to people. Avraham Avinu invites his guests to come eat, but then he goes sends everyone to buy food.
Yeah.
Because he so much wants to do chesed. This is what you see. That she also so much wants to do chesed. Rivka is so excited to feed somebody that she says do it before she even has it ready. ותאמר גם לגמליך אשב עד אם כאילו לשתות, and she goes and she brings for the camels also to drink. A lot of camels. 10 camels we said?
Yeah,
You know how much a camel drinks?
a lot of water.
Have you seen a camel drinks?
I never
When they
seen
say
it,
you
but-
drink like a camel, it's a real expression. It's like, I once was driving on a bus alone. Not me. There was a driver, but I was the only other person on the bus. And the guy said, "Do you mind if I stop for gas?" We stopped for gas. It was one of those. It was from Yerushalayim to Haifa. I don't know. It was one of those double. There's a suitcase on the bottom, and people sit on a coach bus. And he filled up gas. First off, I never knew that you could fill up thousands of shekels of gas. I mean, it's a lot of money to fill up a bus. The second, you know how long it took to fill up that bus? It's not filling up your car. You wait 5 minutes, it's done. You go. We're there for a while. You have to fill up the whole gas tank of that bus. It's like feeding a camel. She's doing it on her own, and we know at this age she's a very young girl. Even if she's not, I'm not saying she's 3. I don't like that age. 12. It's a lot for a girl to do. A young girl, a young boy, anybody young and small and feeding camels. She could ask for his help. Help me with the pitcher. But we see from here that she was a person that was full of chesed, of kindness. So what kind of sign is that for a mom? The Gemara says that there are 3 simanim hem b'Yisrael. There are 3 signs, just like there are fish. How do you know if a fish is kosher? It has fins and scales. How do you know if a Jew is Jewish?
ברית מילה טלית, תפילין, אני יודעת.
Yeah. Then we're going to have a lot of people who are not Jewish.
The OU on the head.
The OU on the head. Rachel's right. The Gemara says, Baishanim, they're embarrassed people.
Oh.
Rachmanim, they're kind people. They're Gomlei Chasadim, and they do acts of kindness for other people. We know a lot of Jews that don't fit this criteria. Yeah, we know a friend or two, yeah. So says the Rambam, if you find a Jew who doesn't have one of these 3 character traits, Tse uvdok, go and check, Shemalo mizera Avraham Avinu, that probably he's not a child of Avraham Avinu. Probably this person, if you dig back far enough, he's not actually Jewish. See how crazy of a thing that is to say? They're from 3 character traits. You're kind of a nation that all has the same character traits. Hashem says they do. And if they don't have, says the Rambam, go check. Maybe they're not Jewish. Miklal lav ata shomea hen. The Gemara says that from what you don't say, you can actually learn something. If you find somebody who has these character traits, but they're not Jewish, what does it tell you about their neshama? That probably they are from the children of Avraham Avinu. Probably they are. And Rav Pellet always tells us, when you're sitting on a bedin and you're trying to figure out, should I accept this person into Am Yisrael or not, what you're really looking for, aside from do they know the halachot, do they want to be Jewish, for what reason are they becoming Jewish, do they even have those qualities? And if they do, so you should realize you're not bringing back somebody not Jewish to Judaism. You're bringing back a neshama that is Jewish back to where it belongs. And your job description changes. You're no longer making people who are not Jewish into Jews. You're simply taking care of that process to bring back Jewish neshamot home. And that was a huge shift of consciousness. I was sitting on this bedin on Monday night and saying, we're not doing anybody a favor here. It's not a chesed we're doing to someone.
Monday night. You said Bedin cannot...
One day, we finished, but you finished by the time we're sitting around, it was nighttime. But Bedin, some say, could sit at night. Depends what kind of din a conversion is. Which is right. L'chatchila, we don't do din at night. You realize I'm not doing anybody a favor. There's somebody whose neshama was meant to come back. And all I have is the zechut, is the merit to bring that person back. It's a totally different, it's a paradigm shift. You're completely looking at it differently. And you read this, there could be a neshama inside of a non-Jewish body, but how do you know? From here you see that even Avraham Avinu knew that I need to find somebody whose neshama is from the same place my neshama is. So go check if she has these character traits. Baishanim, Rachmanim, Gomlei Chasadim. Once Eliezer saw her character, he knew it's not just that she's from the family of Avraham Avinu, but she has the soul that is needed for somebody to be a mother of the whole Jewish people. If you didn't fall out of your chairs, I should say it again. Avraham Avinu was telling you already how to look inside of a person and say, this person, not just who I should marry, but who is Miraui Lagaye, who should I bring into the Jewish people? Somebody who has these character traits. Everything else comes along with these character traits. A person who's humble also doesn't have a hard time learning Torah. How do you know? Where was the Torah given? How Sinai? Why? The most humble of the mountains. Humility, you need humility. Somebody who has both Torah and an ego is a very dangerous person. You know a lot of people who know a lot of Torah, but they're really bad people. And they could use their Torah for the worst things. What did Rabbi say? The Torah is like Cherev Shashtei Pipiyot. It's a sword, it's a double-edged sword. The Torah is Sama Mavet or Sama Chaim. The Torah is poison, and the Torah is the, what do you call it? When someone is poisoned, you give them the anti-poison, what's it called? Antidote. The Torah is both. It doesn't, not hard for you if you want to look around the Jewish world and say, which people have a Torah that is poisonous? I said today, I had a conversation today with somebody. You have to stop apologizing for the Jewish community. You see problems in the Jewish community? Stand up and say it's a problem. Just because they wear kippah doesn't mean they're right. Just because they have tzitzit doesn't mean I have to stand up for them. When things are bad and things are wrong, you have to say things are bad and things are wrong. I was talking to my wife today. We had watching the news from Israel. And you see this guy who looks like a yeshiva student. He's calling an Israeli police officer a Nazi. It happens every day, but don't get fooled. This happens once in history. Aside from the basic, are you so stupid about Jewish history to even call somebody a Nazi? Do you know what a Nazi was? You know what that is? You're belittling anybody who went through a Holocaust by calling. But what kind of fool are you? What kind of world did you grow up in when a person who spends his life protecting you, all of a sudden you're going to call him a name? A name of a person who's out to kill you? The only reason you could protest in the first place is because these people are there to protect you. Which kind of perverted Torah did you study that made you who you are? I shouldn't say that because it's embarrassing. So many thousands of Jews. I'm embarrassed that so many thousands of Jews exist. I'm embarrassed they have people that are called rabbis that teach them this Torah. You can't be quiet. There are 3 character traits in a Jew. Baishanin, Rachmanin, Gomlei Chasadim. You see somebody that doesn't fit in that category? Tell him, listen, I don't know which book you're reading, but it's not the same when we got in Har Sinai. When Avraham Avinu was looking for a shidduch for his daughter, for his son, he wasn't looking for a girl. Her parents had a white tablecloth or a purple tablecloth, or did she wear stockings, or did she go to Bet Knesset, this Bet Knesset or that Bet Knesset? This is not what he was looking for. He was looking for a character of a person. Because a person who has character, everything else works out for them. A person who doesn't have integrity, all of the Torah that they study just comes out crooked like who they are. If you have a dirty cup and you put clean water inside of it, the water is dirty because the cup is dirty. Once you have a clean cup and the water you put inside, it stays clean. But if a person is crooked, so anything you put inside, even the best Torah in the world, it doesn't work. It's crooked. Avraham Avinu said, you can't. You have to have a person who's straight. That's what you're looking for in a person. I was sitting with a Mekubal in Los Angeles. Between us. One of the bigger Mekubalim around today. Not a Baba, not a faker, somebody with a lot of integrity. One of his daughters-in-law, she's from a country in Europe where it's illegal to have private schools. You have to go to public school. And so even the very religious Jews all go to public school over there. And they learn Judaism at home. When it came time for his son to get married, he was dating girls in Israel, in America, wherever else he was dating. Nothing worked out. Finally someone suggested a girl for him from this country in Europe. But they said, she's from a religious home, but she went her whole life to public school. All her classmates were not Jewish. She was like everybody else in that country. He said, go on a date. He married her. He said, from all of his children and his children-in-law, whenever he needs a blessing, that's who he goes to. Whenever he needs someone to pray for something, that's who he goes to. It's because the person that she was so outstanding that it didn't make a difference which situation you put her into. She was outstanding. Our whole purpose is to reach that level, to be that person. That's why our rabbis tell us, Derech Eretz Kadma Torah, that your musar, your ethics, your morals, they come before the Torah. Not because you have to wait until you finish being a good person and then you can start studying Torah. But because what good is your Torah going to be if you put it in a dirty cup? First you have to be a person. First you have to be a human being. Oh, you finished being a human being. Now start building your building. Imagine you build a 15-story apartment building with no foundations. It's going to fall over. It doesn't make a difference how fancy materials you use, the nicest windows you put in, and the best security set doesn't help. You don't have foundations, your building will fall. The same thing Avraham Avinu is trying to instill, not just in his family, but in all of us. There are qualities that make you part of Am Yisrael. It's not a birthright. You're not born this way. You work hard to be this way. And you see other people that are this way, so realize they have a destiny together with Am Yisrael. I can tell you that in my years of, it's only been a few years of doing Giyul, but of being involved in the world of Giyul, of conversion. There's a teaching of the Seva Hasidim. The Seva Hasidim says that if you have a choice to marry somebody who is born Jewish, but her parents are like, good for nothing Jews. I don't have a better word for that. But she was born Jewish, went to Jewish school, or you have an option to marry somebody who was raised not Jewish completely, but she converted to Judaism. But her parents are very honest people, good people. He said, marry the second one, because you have a guarantee that your children will be tzaddikim, will be righteous people. It all ties back into this idea. When you go to war, and you see someone in captivity, you see a neshama that doesn't belong there, that you bring in. This is the purpose of our whole life. It's to find the good that is inside of everything, and to be that good that is inside of everything. The Torah talks to Yetzirah. Even the bad things that you see in the world have some kind of good inside of them. And when you come here to Parashat and you see a test of Eliezer checking camels, none of this is important. What's important here is the way you see a little girl, the way she's acting. Our rabbis say that you can tell if a fruit is ripe, if it's going to be a good fruit, even when it's very small. I don't know how that means. I'm not a farmer. But sometimes they say about certain tzaddikim that when you look at them when they were children, you already knew that they were going to be, they're the kids who share their snacks at school and the kids who take it away from the other kids. It doesn't tell you everything, but it tells you something about this kid. This kid already in 2 and 3, they know how to share. It tells you about their life that they're going to share. You know, once Rav Kook was a little boy, and it was still in Europe. And his mother came home very late after school. They were looking for him all over town. They couldn't find him. And his parents, they hit him. How dare you run away from the house? Where'd you go? So he told him a story. He said that he was walking down the street from school. And an older Jewish man asked him, how do I get to the next town? He said, go down the street, make a right, and follow that road, you'll make it to the other town. The guy was very afraid. He said, I'm old, I don't know the way, it's going to get dark soon. Rav Kook was 6 years old. He walked this man to the next town, and he came back. Okay, so imagine it's not as bad as you think. Imagine like he walked into Claremont, and came back. For a 6-year-old, that's a big trip. He came home, his parents hit him. And Rav Kook said he was right. You know, he shouldn't have gone without telling his parents. But he didn't do anything wrong. He said until the end of his life, those scars, they still hurt him. Not really, but emotionally. And when someone asked him, where did you get your Ruach HaKodesh from? Where did you get your divine inspiration from? He said, I had a rule in my life. That whenever someone asked me for a favor, if it was something that I could do, because there are things you can't do, people ask you for them, you can't do it. If it was something that I could do, and the only reason people would say no is because I'm too lazy, or I don't want to help you, or I don't have time for you, so I always said yes. Whenever someone asked me for a favor, I always say yes. So that's what gave me all the levels of spirituality that I have today. I think a lot of times we focus a lot on the Judaism of, you know, how do you do Shabbat, and what kind of kasher do you eat, and how do you dress, and what do you mezuzot look like, and those are all important things. It's all part of a big picture. But we don't focus enough on how do we make sure that we get Ruach HaKodesh by being good people first. How do we teach our children that just like it's important to put on a kippah, to put on tzitzit, it's important also to have a good head underneath that kippah, and to have a heart that cares about other people under that tzitzit. How do you tell your child that I need to raise you to have a real neshama inside of you? That's what I'm trying to make. All the other stuff is on the outside. Is it important? Yeah, sure, you have to wear clothes. But the clothes don't make you who you are. Like I told you about the guy at the Kotel, those who speak Hebrew appreciate him more. He once grabbed a crazy guy at the Kotel, but I learned one thing from him. He grabbed me and he said, Dalecha, you should know. And I was free. He grabbed me, I was like, he said, kippah. What do you tell me? A kova lo kovea. The hat doesn't mean anything. Ha'me'il lo mo'il. The coat doesn't help you with anything either. Hazakan someach levad. Your beard grows on its own. V'kippah ola 5 shekel. And anybody can buy a kippah for 5 shekels. You know, that's not what makes you a person. What makes you a person is the work, the real hard work you do in your neshama, in your heart, in your mind. And that's what Avraham Avinu was telling us. Do you want to look for a person? Do you want to know who you should get in a relationship with? How you want to raise your children? Who you want to do business with? Look, are they good people? Are they the kind of people that they care? Do they have integrity? If the answer is yes, then look. Yitzchak marries Rivka. Rivka has children and grandchildren. All of them who are sitting here. We are who we are because of the choices, the teachings that Avraham told his children, and we tell our children until the end of time. Shabbat Shalom.